All right. Mr. Buffet himself, 2022, Alek Manoah for the Blue Jays. I mean, we all know that year he had. I mean, he was absolutely dominant and filthy and, Cy Young caliber stuff. And then pitch clock came out and it was career over. 16-7 win loss record, 196 and two thirds innings pitched, 180 Ks, a below one whip, and a 6.0 WAR for a single season. Nuts.
Great
But
season.
5.87 ERA and 19 starts the following season, and we all know the Alek Manoah story since then. He just can't get back. And I mean, I think the pitch clock seems to be the culprit. I mean, that's when everything kind of went downhill for him.
I mean, he imploded in 23 when the pitch clock got introduced.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure what else to tie it to, but and he was a well-known like slow worker on the plate, on the mound. So I think a lot of people immediately jumped on that, but I mean, his season was unreal. 31 starts, 2.24 ERA, pitched almost 200 innings. I mean, great season.
Yeah. Yeah. You have under a one whip, like that's a pretty damn good season.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was the ace of that staff. Like they were expecting to build around him. And like when we went through like the all I want for Christmas, like that's what I said for the Blue Jays. They need an ace. They thought it was Manoah. It's not Manoah. He has lost it. They need that ace. They were planning to build around him. And when they lost him, that was a huge blow to that plan. And that's a big part. That's a big reason why they are where they are. Like everything they thought they had in place is kind of thrown into disarray when he forgot how to pitch.
Yeah.
A name we both had.
Yeah.
Because obviously. So 1996, Brady Anderson for the Orioles. Now, in Brady's defense, played 15 years, and was always kind of a good enough ball player to be out there. This season was unreal. 297 average, 50 home runs, 110 RBIs. He slugged 637. His career slugging percentage was 425. He hit 210 career home runs in 15 seasons. So 160 in the other 14 years combined. A guy who was always good, not great, not a perennial all-star, not anybody kind of you take note of, but just kind of around and had an okay career. But it was that season that like launched him to being, kind of like a almost household name. But other than that, he was always a pretty average to decent player.
And I would also argue that every time the steroid era is brought up in any baseball conversation, his name is almost brought up every single time because of this season. I mean, he was a 15 home run guy the rest of his career, and then all of a sudden he had a 50 home run performance, and we're just like, okay, wait a minute.
He hit 20. So his second best season was 21 home runs and second best overall season.
Yeah,
20. He hit 21 home runs, drove in 80, hit 271 in 1992, and then in 99 at 35, he hit 282 with 24 and 81.
Yeah,
but he's a career 256 hitter, 210 home runs, 761 RBIs. I mean, he had so much as production in that single season. I mean, 3-time All-Star, because he had a couple of the seasons where he was pretty good, but he was never like this kind of player. He was a 240, 250 hitter with 15 to 18 home runs, and he was always kind of good enough to be out there.
Yep. Yeah, definitely got a few Balco packages in the mail in 96. Yep. Totally agree, John.
Well, what's funny is like, we think of the steroid era like really starting off in 98 with that home run race. I mean, this stuff, it started sooner than that.
Yep.
Because Brady Anderson didn't show up to spring training all of a sudden like bigger with a better swing. Something changed.
It started after the strike in 94. Let's be completely honest.
They had to bring baseball back.
And Bud Selig turned his back. He knew what was going on. This was going to save baseball. 98 completely brought baseball back because people weren't watching, unless you were a diehard baseball fan, you weren't coming back to baseball after the strike unless something exciting started to happen. Bud Selig turns his back. He gets all the credit for saving baseball. He gets elected to the Hall of Fame, but all the players get to stay out. Okay, I'll go on a tangent another episode, but it's absolutely criminal that guy is in the Hall of Fame. I hate that, but there's no doubt that this was a steroid or PED induced season in my eyes. I mean, you just can't have an anomaly to that effect without some help, right? I mean, yes, baseball can be a fluky game. I know it can. And when you find your swing and you're locked in, like, you can get real hot. But you can't double your average and double your home run total hot all year. To me, anyways.
No, and you look at like the 1993 home run leaders, like Barry Bonds led the league with 46. In 95, Albert Bell led with 50. In 96, McGwire led with 52. In 97, McGwire led with 58. In 98, McGwire hit 70. Like, after the strike, to your point, Nick, like, that's when you see the home run numbers start to ratchet up. More guys are hitting 40 and more. You're getting past 50. Now you're approaching 60. The game, that 95 to 99 window, which was some of the best baseball we've seen in our whole lives in terms of excitement, it was all designed to bring the fans back after that awful 94 strike.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, and there's no way Bud Selig was like, wow, look, the game's changed amazingly. This is great. Like, come on.
Yeah. He knew exactly what was going on.
That dude sits on the throne of lies.
Yeah. 1,000%. All right. I threw this guy in last minute. 2017, Eric Thames for the Milwaukee Brewers. He started in like 2007, I believe, hung around the majors for the first 4 or 5 years, went to Japan in 2012. He was there for 5 years, didn't come back to the major leagues till 2017, and exploded onto the scene here with 31 home runs. That was the big one, was the power. He just came back. He was jacked out of his mind. I mean, you can see the forearms he's got on him. But 31 home runs, 63 RBIs, just a 1 WAR. But the player he was, and then when he got back from Japan, was completely different. He did have a very similar year in 2019 with a slightly better WAR. His numbers kind of were the same, but then that was it. He had like maybe a handful at bats in 2020, and that was it. That was his career.
The dude could not catch a cold. Like, his defensively, he was one of the worst.
Yeah. So just kind of a flash in the pan there for Milwaukee, 2017, and a little bit in 2019. I think 18 he was hurt. He didn't have the at bats. And then, like I said, 2020 is kind of a throwaway year for everybody. But he didn't come back to baseball after that. So.
Yeah. And really, what made it more surprising is that nobody knew who the hell he was.
Right.
Like, when the season started, we're like, who is this guy? Like, he had like a crazy hot start, and everybody in baseball is like, who? Like, all of us baseball fans, like, who the hell is this guy? Nobody, he'd come back from Japan. Nobody knew who he was. Nobody even realized he was back. He gets off to a great start, and it's like, wow, cool. Like, who is this guy?
Yep. And then that was it. Just like that, he was gone. So,
yeah. But you're right. The dude was huge, absolutely jacked out of his mind.
Yeah.
But he could not move or catch a ball to save his life.
No. Yeah, when you have arms like that, you lose your flexibility. Like, if you can't even take the ball out of your glove because you can't get your arms together, like, that's a problem.
Yeah, it's like the dudes at the gym that like literally like can't move, like they're like frozen in position. Like, that was he was basically at that level.